Hi everyone, my name is Natalie. Today I wanted to do the August Invisible Cities announcement. So if you don't know what Invisible Cities is, it is a reading project that I am co-host of with a group of people. I will link all of the hosts below, as well as all the information you need if you're curious about what Invisible Cities is, because a lot of us, the hosts included, want to read from all of the countries for each month. We have decided to go down from 3 countries per month to 2. So the 2 countries for August is Nigeria and South Korea. So as I usually do with these announcements, I'll share with you a few of the books that I have my eye on for potentially reading for the countries. The first one I have as an option for South Korea is Bluebirds' First Wife by Ha Sung-nan and translated by Janet Hong. This was published by Open Letter, and it's one of those publishers that I've become really interested in from doing various Invisible Cities research. This book says, disasters, accident, and death abound in Bluebird's First Wife. Ha's paranoia-inducing, heart-quickening stories will have you reconsidering your own neighbors. So it seems like this is a short story collection with some fantasy, magical realism elements to it, and I'm assuming there's going to be some fairy tale inspiration as well with the Bluebird title. I really like magical realism, and I feel like it's one of those things that I don't read enough of. The next one I have as an option is Nowhere to be Found by Bae Sua, translated by Sora Kim Russell. So this is the author of Untold Night and Day that I read in, I want to say April, in the beginning of April, and I really enjoyed it, even though I feel like I don't quite understand it, but I like the themes of it that touched a lot on storytelling and memories and truth and narrative making. I found it a really interesting book, so I picked up Nowhere to be Found after reading that one, and I would really love to get to it in August if I don't get to it before then. And this one is a very short book. It says, a nameless narrator passes through her life, searching for meaning and connection in experiences she barely feels. Sounds like a very quiet sort of character study or a very close portrait of this narrator and her day-to-day. Next we have Your Republic is Calling You by Young Ha Kim and translated by Cheong Kim. This is a South Korean author, but the story itself centers around North Korea. So it's one of those books that I had my eye on for potentially reading for May for North Korea for Invisible Cities, but I put it to the side because it's a South Korean author. But I think it sounds fantastic. It says, a foreign film importer, Gi Young, is a family man with a wife and daughter. An aficionado of Heineken, soccer, and sushi, he is also a North Korean spy who has been living among his enemies for 21 years. So it's about this North Korean spy, and I think it sounds interesting, especially because North Korea and South Korea has a really complicated relationship. I think it's going to be interesting to see a North Korean or a South Korean take on North Korea and its history and its society. The last of the South Korean books that I have selected as options is Jeong Born 1982 by Cho Nam-jo and translated by Jamie Chang. So this has been going around BookTube and the bookish community in general. It's I know that it's about a woman who suffers various discriminations based on her gender, and it's supposed to be feminist, and the way that it explores and examines patriarchal society in South Korea, which definitely sounds very interesting. I've heard also that this book has had quite a big effect in South Korea when it came out. I'm really interested in this book. I have been since it came out, and I've heard fantastic reviews of it. I just haven't gotten to it, but I thought that this might be an audiobook that I listened to. For Nigeria, the first one I am fairly certain I will get to, and that is the one I have on my shelves. It is Freshwater by Akwaoki Emezi. An extraordinary debut novel, Freshwater explores the surreal experience of having a fractured self. It centers around a young Nigerian woman, Ada, who develops separate selves within her as a result of being born with one foot on the other side. Unsettling, heart-wrenching, dark and powerful, Freshwater is a sharp evocation of a rare way of experiencing the world, one that illuminates how we all construct our identities. So I think it touches on the identity question very centrally, and I have actually started reading this one last year and I loved it, and I just didn't get around to finishing it. So I think I will start over with this one. The next one I have as an option for Nigeria is Butter Honey Pig Bread by Francesca Equiasi. This is a book I hadn't heard of before doing this research. Butter Honey Pig Bread is a story of choices and their consequences, of motherhood, of the malleable line between the spirit and the mind, of finding new homes and mending old ones, of voracious appetites, of queer love, of friendship, faith, and above all, family. I think there's a lot of keywords in that description that is one of those things that I react to, like family, the mind, queer love, and sort of the division between surreal and the mind and psychological things. It just sounds really interesting, and it has some supernatural elements to it. The next option I have for Nigeria is Tadunos Song by Udafe Atogun. And this one, let's see, again, is a book I hadn't heard of before, and I found it through my library catalog. The day a stained brown envelope arrives from Taduno's homeland, he knows that the time has come to return from exile. Arriving full of trepidation, the musician discovers that his community no longer recognizes him, believing that Tudano is dead. As he wanders through his house in search of clues, he realizes that any traces of his old life have been erased. All that was left of his life and himself are memories, but Taduno finds a new purpose to unravel the mystery of his lost life and to find his lost love. One of the things that stood out to me in the description of this was the music theme that seems to be at least part of, or that seems to be important to the main character. So that was one of the things that drew me to it. And then the last option I have is called The Face Cartography of the Void by Chris Abani. A profound and gorgeously wrought short memoir by acclaimed Nigerian-born author and poet Chris Abani that explores his personal history and complex sense of identity through a meditation on the face. It sounded like a really interesting short memoir format, and it's published by Restless Books, which again is one of those publishers that I keep my eye out for. Those are all of the book options I have for August for Invisible Cities. I would love to know if you have any books in mind for these two countries, South Korea and Nigeria, that you would like to read, or any recommendations for me. I would always love to hear that in the comments below. Hope you're doing well and you're taking care of yourselves, and I will talk to you soon.